Alright, this is Lightning Arrow Deadeye build update number 1. I've broken down the progression into 3 steps. Step 1, early game non-crit with precise technique. Step 2, the crit swap. Step 3, crystallized Omniscience swap. This video I'll mainly be going over early game changes, but we're mainly focusing on the crit swap. Ideally, after watching this video, your next league starter speedrun should be very smooth. Anyways, what you guys can see on the screen is the original PoE I showed at League Start a couple months ago. The main thing I want you guys to look at right now is this pathing here around replenishing remedies and charisma. I said, hey, let's go crit. We're gonna go crit early, as fast as possible, as early on as possible. We had an Imperial bow, stuff like that. But we made a couple changes after doing a lot of speed runs. So step one is actually to fix your PoE, because PoE keeps on forgetting the projectile travel distance right now. I don't know why, but the main changes are, you can see we kind of dropped charisma, we kind of dropped this whole pathing, and I'm saying, hey, we are gonna stay non-crit because precise technique is kind of insane, and you combine this with this node right here. Lightning damage with the non-critical strikes is lucky, and it's even better. Arcing blows has 8% lightning pen, has a lot of increased lightning damage with attack skills, and we're mostly doing lightning damage anyways. It's really good because it makes our shocks, we get our high shocks all the time, right? The only issue with this is that sometimes you have trouble proccing Trinity, but otherwise it's kind of like the way to go, right? There's a couple advantages too, because now we can get influence as well. You get a little bit more aura effect. Our mana pool is a little bit lower. This is technically slightly weaker than charisma, but it does end up working out, and then you can combine this with some Elrion crafts, and it works out, kind of nice. And the other nice thing here is we can also get Whispers of Doom for 3 points. So now we can get Sniper's Mark, and on top of that we have Ellie Weakness, and Hydrosphere, so we can reduce resist quite a bit, and even tough enemies like bosses that are not really an issue, even when they have Omega resistance stuff. When leveling up, you're probably gonna have to take a lot of accuracy nodes and get accuracy on gear. The main important thing here is you get a QD. It's probably one of the better nodes because it's attack speed. We don't want this node because this node's crit. This one has accuracy, and then I usually take the dexterity's accuracy bonus, grants +3 to activating per dexterity. That usually rounds me out. And then 100 accuracy rating per green socket on a quick bow. That gets the job done, and you want to get 6 socket on your bow. And yeah. Most of the masteries are still the same. Nothing too different from the original PoB I suggested at League Start. Everything's basically the same. I think the only difference is, you go for a Thicket bow, right? So I'm recommending you say for Thicket bow and Imperial bow, basically the same thing. This is a Thicket bow that I put on for now. Anyways, I want to show you guys the step two, but this is basically step 1. The main change is we're dropping charisma and all this stuff over here, and then we're pathing up. We're going for this lightning mastery here. All right. Step 2, the first thing we gotta do is fix our PoBs. I don't know why it keeps on deleting my projectile travel distance. That's really weird. Anyways, this is the step 2. So I'm basically saying, okay, you farm up and then you go crit. So that means a couple things. Number 1, you gotta switch out your Thicket bow for a spine bow. Why spine bow? Because it has a better base crit chance, and we don't really have access to stuff like Brittle yet, and we just don't really have a lot of increased crit yet, right? So this is generally, it's pretty good, right? Everything on this character that's in this PoB, and of course all PoBs are linked in the description, this is all self-found. I made every single item here with essences except for the helmet. I think I bought for 30C or something a couple weeks ago. I can't remember when, but essence chance, it just kind of makes the build. But hey, if I didn't buy this, I would probably have essence like a spell suppression helmet. Maybe try to get the focus craft, where every time you focus, it uses all the skills in your helmet, just so you get a little bit extra quality of life on single target, because because when you're casting Tornado and Hydrosphere, and then maybe even Ellie Weakness on top, you do want to just automate those things, right? Because it does end up being a lot of things to cast. Anyways, let's go over all the gear, right? So yeah, we are talking the spine bow. We go spine bow because we want a little bit more base crit. This bow is honestly not even that great. 660 LD DPS is kind of low. We don't even have an attack speed roll, but hey, we got some crit multi. We got crit chance. We were able to craft it on. We got some chaos resist, so that's not too bad. It's okay. It's all right. Quiver. I believe this was with a Torment Essence. We got pretty lucky to get crit multi. We got some damage with bow skills and some attack speed and some light damage to attacks. It's generally pretty good. You really want, so one thing I'm gonna be saying on all these pieces, you want flat lightning damage to attacks, just flat lightning everywhere. And with that in mind, you have to make sure you do have a decent secondary elemental damage roll on your bow. I happen to get fire damage here, but you can also get a cold damage roll. The reason for this is you need to be able to proc Trinity. Trinity is how you get Giga Dam. But I do need to also mention though that with, oh, this is the wrong mastery. Oh, never mind. We're crit. Never mind. This is no longer an issue. So in the previous step 1 build, I forgot to mention that if you don't have very high secondary elemental damage rolls, right? So when I say secondary, I mean fire or cold, then you might have trouble keeping your Trinity up since you'll constantly be rolling top end lightning. But this is not an issue since we are no longer going non-crit lucky right now for lightning damage. This is the crit build, so it's going to be, should be a little bit better, right? So going back over here, we have a nice roll here, and then yeah, back to the quiver. I believe this was the Torment Essence. Maybe it was the Tax Speed Essence. I'm not too sure which now, but a Broadhead Arrow Quiver I've generally found to be the best base to craft on. We have our Tactical Helmet. If you don't get this helmet, do everything in your power to get this helmet, and I'll talk about that later on with the Alice Passage, but just do everything you can to try to get it. It just really just makes the build feel nice. And of course, we'll go over links and stuff in a moment too. So for the chest, I went with the Zodiac Leather because I am actually not running Grace on this build. And the reason I'm not running Grace is because I wanted to run D-Term, I want to run Defiance Banner, and I want to run Pure Developments, right? The reason for all those is with the Asnod's Chant Helm is, you know, I do need, I'm like running out of suffixes, right? Because it's like there's no resist here, there's no spell suppression here. I do need spell suppression on a lot of items, and just the way I crafted my gear this time, the way, you know, the dice landed, just I just needed a lot of resist, right? So Pure Developments was my solution for that, and you know, it does give me ailment immunity, so it's kind of nice, right? As you guys might notice, that I'm missing the Gravicious Craft here too, which is, it is kind of bad. It's honestly not a good thing, right? As you only have 4k life, and we have 256 energy shield, right? You get Gravicious Craft there, you're going up to like, you know, 700, 800 ES, like, you know, life's looking really good, right? But I was able to get a regenerate 150 ES per second while a rare or unique enemy is nearby, and that actually felt kind of good. It's honestly been really noticeable, and all the boss fights and all the content I'm doing at this type of gear level. So it's a consideration, right? Just like, okay, I didn't get Gravicious Craft, maybe I can take this instead, right? To keep my ES pool high, right? To protect your life pool. And honestly, this chest isn't too bad, right? We used a nice Greed Essence on it, we got 140 life roll, and we did get a lot of evasion, right? As I did just mention, I'm not running Grace, so the extra evasion is turning out to be really good. Yeah. Oh, and on that note, Jade Flask OP. And also on that note too, evasion rating. So I've tried playing with like 0 evasion, right? So originally I tried like some 0 armor tests. So this character is more of like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I get my armor. You know, we got 12k without a flask up. That's like honestly kind of nice, dude. We're kind of chilling right now. I was like, okay, what about evasion? How much evasion do I need? So I've found that like around this like 7 to 10k mark, that's when evasion kind of starts to feel like really nice. Before that, I was again just randomly dying because like I just get a barrage of enemy abilities just coming at me, and then I just eat all of it, right? And obviously we're not a tanky character, right? We need to actually, we need to get those layers of avoidance on the build, right? So the Jade Flask definitely helped round it out, and around just having this like 7, 8k, 10k evasion number just kind of made it start to feel really good. So that's kind of the bare minimum I would recommend. Of course, if you have Grace on, we'd have like super high evasion, and you know, the life's just awesome then, right? But then it's kind of hard to get, you know, Grace, D-Term, Defiance Banner, and Pure Developments, right? So the easiest thing to probably drop would be Pure Developments, but I just need to make better gear, and I just didn't do that on this character. So that's why this chest is honestly not too bad with the 2k evasion rating roll. Moving on to the gloves. These ones are actually an ID scroll, if I recall. So the identification method, but I could have honestly just crafted these with, you know, a Greed Essence. Just keep on spamming, I would have eventually hit these. Maybe a Torment Essence. You know, 86 life, some lightning damage, and some spell suppression. That's generally what you're going for. Nothing too special on these gloves. And on all these items, as you can tell, I don't really have any crazy Eldritch implicits because this is basically an SSF character from a speedrun. Then I just play a little bit more and upgraded the gear as needed until I felt like, all right, this is a good setup before I would, you know, go to my next stage, the Omniscience stage, right? So boots, really bad boots, just like 70 life, movement speed, fire res. Honestly, nothing too special here as well. On the amulet, again, flat line damage to attacks, crit multi. Crit multi is really important because you really want to get the number up. You've crafted some life, but we also get our craft and Elrion craft here as well. And of course, the Divine Judgment Anoint. But the rings, we're looking at flat damage on both. As you can see, I have 6 to 70 lightning damage attacks here, and I have, you know, a bunch of flat damage here. I even have some int. I was also able to get a Veiled Chaos Res craft here as well. This probably was from a June mission or something, right? And of course, we have 2 Aurion crafts on both rings, you know, non-channeling skills of -7 total mana cost. I found these very impactful because we attack, you know, a lot of times per second. We don't have a big mana pool, and there's skills kind of cost a lot without them, right? In addition to that, our Ascen's Chant is burning mana all the time, because any time any of the skills trigger in here, they also burn mana, right? So it's very important to fix that as well. So those are the rings. Belt, you know, no brainer here. It's you know, just some life. I mean, life's kind of low, but it's not too bad because the other strength rolls are all 52 strength. 52 strength is very important, right? Because you see, we have a very high strength requirement, right? As we need like 150 for D term, right? And then of course you throw in a flat damage. You'll get some accuracy, just get some damage, get some life, just whatever you want basically, right? As for flasks, just got the usual here. Divine Life Flask of staunching, or bleeding, the good stuff, right? Jade Flask, as I mentioned earlier, because we need that. We need our evasion rating up, right? For like when we're taking a lot of damage. Granted, because right now it's a really great time to have armor in the build, right? Of course, quick start because we want to go fast. And if you've noticed, all of my prefixes are gain charges when you're hit by an enemy. So when you are in extended boss fights, you kind of keep your flasks up and life feels great, right? And your life flask and your mana flask recharge because Sniper's Mark gives you extra charges as the fight goes on. And of course, I have Enduring Mana just to really help in those high DPS scenarios, right? I'm not too sure actually if this works without it right now. I might need another Elrond craft, and then maybe I could consider dropping this, right? But I don't know, so far this has felt really good, and this allows me to do like no regen and less regen and like all those type of map mods, right? So that's honestly felt really good. Let's go over links real quick, right? So something that might be interesting to you guys is that I actually tried out Siege Ballista here, right? So that's kind of interesting. And the reason is like, okay, you need one less link. This is the whole idea behind it. You need one less link. And hey, the damage numbers are not that bad, right? So you get 6 totems. It's kind of crazy, right? And just to show the comparison, this is 946k from the Siege Ballista. If I switch this to Lightning Arrow, Ballista totems now is also a 5 link, right? It's actually less. It is less damage unless I got a magical totem somewhere. It's still less. Okay, so Siege Ballista in PoE technically good. In reality, it's also felt good, right? I haven't really noticed too many issues, except for one. There's one really big issue. It's that it's laggy, actually. So when you Sniper's Mark an enemy and you have your 6 Siege Ballistas out just blasting, just like, I feel like I have no FPS, and I've definitely like died a couple times just because like my frames, they just like tank. They just tank, right? So I'm on the fence about it, right? Like it feels good on paper. Then eventually you start getting too many projectiles and it just gets super laggy. So maybe the tech here is to not use multi-totem to lag less. That's PoE for you. Sometimes you got to change your build so you lag less, right? The benefit here though is that maybe some multi-totems is a red gem, maybe another green gem in. Get a little bit more accuracy from our accuracy mastery. That's something to consider. Other links fairly normal. We got our Cast on Damage Shaken Molten Shell. We got our Flame Dash Pretty Elements, just standard stuff. I'll go over Lightning Arrow in a moment. Blink Arrow, Sniper's Mark, we are self-casting it right now. There's an argument that it should be in the helmet to auto-cast, and that's Ascen's Chant. But right now I've been trying it with self-cast. And Defiance Banner, D-Term. I have this GMP here just for quick gem swapping. I'll show you guys why later. And then we have Tornado, Onslaught, Power Charge and Crit, and Hydrosphere in the helmet, right? So this is how I get my power charges. This is how I keep my Onslaught up on bosses. Tornado is it's a lot of damage. It's really good. And I have Hydrosphere here as well, right? So this is giving me minus 18% cold and lightning exposure right now. I don't believe I have too much cold damage right now since my secondary roll on my bow is fire damage. But if the secondary roll was cold, then hey, that would be even better, right? In theory, I could also consider dropping power charges or just dropping Hydrosphere altogether, getting Mistress of Doom, then getting some LE weakness action going on top for even more resistance reduction, right? That's one thing to consider there. Anyway, skill tree hasn't really changed too much. Masteries haven't really changed too much from previous recommendations on the build. Most things are still the same here, right? Anyways, let's go back to the Lightning Arrow, right? So these are the links I got. It's just nothing really changed here except I'm missing Mirage Archer because that's honestly just the way I chromed it, right? So in PoB, I do have actually higher PoB DPS without Mirage Archer now when I go like increased crit, Trinity, elemental damage attacks, barrage. But I still feel like in reality, I should probably like try to get my Mirage Archer in here. somehow. I'm not too sure how. It might just be getting a 6 link, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain, right? Because like, you know, this is a 5 link. I have one 5 link. I have a 4 link, right? And I'm able to like take down the content I need to get to the next stage, right? The next stage is basically Crystallized Omniscience. I'm gonna be talking about more about that in the next video, but give you guys a sneak peek. This is basically the BPL character, and it's gonna be something like this. As you can see, not a lot of changes in the tree. It's the main changes that you get this omniscience number really high, and you do a lot of damage. And of course, I don't know why this keeps bugging out. I don't know why it keeps bugging out. So how do you get to this stage? Well, let me show you guys an Atlas tree, right? Let's show you guys an Atlas tree, but I just want to double check that there's nothing that I'm missing in here. No, that should cover everything. If you think I missed something, you have any questions about the tree, the routing, how you should do things, just let me know. Now we got Saris, config, shouldn't be anything too crazy in here. Should be some pretty normal stuff going on. Yeah, I've been putting 18% shock on all my builds, although I'm pretty sure I can get higher shocks depending on the type of content I'm doing. Anyways, here is an Atlas tree that I've been using in some of my speedruns recently. Let me switch the scenes. All right, there we go. So you see in the bottom left here, I've connected an essence shown, and basically I'm trying to get a lot of chance for additional connected map to drop from map bosses. So we have 62% on this tree, and we basically picked up every node. Then I said I picked up essences, right? And then that's 59 points, and it's kind of up to you what you want to do next, right? Something that might pop out to you right now is like, yo, why are you taking this pathing up, right? Shouldn't you go through the Keurig pathing? And yeah, you could go through the Keurig pathing instead. This is just an example of what to do, right? It's not too bad. You can do this instead. And if you do this, then you know you're probably looking at like, okay, then you should probably pick this stuff up too. But like, I don't really feel like you need it because you're gonna be killing Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds anyways, and that kind of covers this already. And you're gonna kill Maven, and that definitely covers it. And eventually, you do like drop these anyways. But the whole idea here is just like you run maps fast, and you're trying to like blast a lot of essences, right? And oh, so this is pretty important for you guys actually. So I know in previous videos I talked about taking Harbinger nodes, right? I was saying like, yo, Harbinger nodes are like so good, they're like amazing, and like they are pretty good. They actually are. They give you a lot of money, not a lot of money. It's like a nice consistent trickle, right? But I've previously had the perception that you needed it to fill your Atlas, but you honestly don't. You can just go connect it to map drops and just, hey, use the do maps fast tech. It's pretty good actually. You do maps fast, just keep on killing map bosses, and you're able to rush to the T16 map Atlas like really fast now. So I really like this. And yeah, you have a lot of options here, right? You know, you can go boxes or beside boxes right now for like 5 points, and you can go up here, get some even more box stuff. I haven't found these too impactful, so I wouldn't really recommend it. Shrines is probably the most nearby thing that's kind of nice. And you know, we do got our Harbingers, right? They're also pretty good. But on this note though, so I did talk about step 3. Step 3 is the Omniscience build. And for that, you're going to need to kill Searing Exarch like a bunch of times over and over. So, you know, the essence knows they're not too bad, right? So if I was to take this speed run like farther, right? Farther than, you know, like a Maven, for example, right? I do have that video coming up as well. I would probably do a treat like this, something like this. You know, I want to make sure I have all the essence nodes. The whole goal here would be to stockpile as many essences as possible. And then the dream is just to get lucky, drop Crystallized Omniscience from your quest reward, your quest fight. But if that doesn't happen, then you know, you're probably going to want to go over here. You're probably going to want, you know, this 10% progress, most likely, and you're just going to want to spam maps or set up your Atlas in a way that you can just kind of like rush the map boss, because that's how you make the tick rate go, right? You have to do 28 maps and you try again, 28 maps, try again, 28 maps, try again, right? So you want to do stuff like Cemetery City Square. That's a very good combo to get that going. And you're doing stuff like this, and you can consider, you know, getting a little bit more paxes here, you know, stuff like that. There's a lot of options, right? Maybe get some Seance and maybe a little bit more map sustain this way, some, you know, some little bit more quantity that way from like some random mobs in the map. But there's honestly a lot of options, right? This is not, I mean, it just depends on how lucky or unlucky you're going to get, right? Getting your Omniscience drop, right? You just want to get, it's really dependent on if whether this is worth it or not, right? Like if you drop it on the first one, obviously don't go for it, right? So yeah, this is the Atlas tree I would recommend. Anyways, upcoming, I have a 10-way fight, I have a Searing Exarch fight, and I have a Maven fight with this PoB. This one right here, the one that we just talked about, step 2. You know, 4k life, basically this DPS, and you know, this evasion, and yeah, hopefully it gives you guys an idea of like, you know, what the build looks like, and maybe you guys can take this in your next speedrun, your next league start, and hopefully have a, you know, great time, you know, have a positive gaming experience, as some may say. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and enjoy the fights. See ya. Peace.
At least die with some flair. Take this vitality balloon. Titanic.
I'm not up to that just yet. My mana is gone.
Spectacle.
Your absurd defiance ends here, hatchling.
We will
My mana is gone.
together.
Annihilation. Disintegration. Cleansing. Annihilation. Incineration. The fires of 1,000 suns.
I shall extinguish them all.
You do not have the strength, hatchling.
That may be, but I am not alone.
How pathetic. Incineration. Annihilation. Disintegration. Cleansing. Annihilation. Incineration. Annihilation. Disintegration. Cleansing. Annihilation.
Or at least. The prize piece comes to join.
My collection.
My mana is gone.
A cascade of pain. Stand still. Stand still.
Pain will be returned tenfold. Base aligns. Behold my collection.
I will have what I want. This will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Stand still. A cascade of pain. Stand still.
Real.
A cascade of pain. Stand still.
Death made real.
A cascade of pain. This will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Mine. A cascade of pain. Stand still. Why?
Resistance will be punished. Time contorts.
My mana is gone.
Scurry.
I'm not up to that just yet.
My irritation is growing. It will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Stand still. Do what I say.
Real.
Stand still. A cascade of pain. Stand still.
Real.
This will not be an escape. Scurry, scurry. Do what I say. Cascade of pain.
Death made real.
Mine. How?
Stop resisting. Reality bends. Punishment is inescapable.
Arrogant toy. This will not be an escape. Scurry.
I'm not up to that just yet. My mana is gone.
Cascade of pain. Take this. Cascade of pain. Stand still. Take this. Stand still. This will not be an escape. Scurry. Take this. Stand still. A cascade of pain. Take this. Stand still. A cascade of pain. This will not be an escape. Scurry. Stand still. Cascade of pain.
Caretaker, to me! The living toy must enjoy our contests, for it continues.